27-24 on the road.
Bingo, bang. We need a sound effect for when we have the exact same
I like that one. Just record his voice again. Bingo, bang. I like that.
Bingo, bango. Bing, pow, bingo, bango, bongo. Here we are. Ping, pong, pow, poom. PFTPM, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, Joint Mega Picks podcast, delivered by Little Caesars, which happens to be the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, as well as the official pizza sponsor of PFT, PM, and Chris Simms Unbuttoned Picks podcast.
That's right, a pizza. You know it.
So I'm going back tonight. Last Thursday night was the whole Thanksgiving thing. I had a little too much food in the afternoon. Wasn't quite in the mood for the Crazy Puffs. But this week, Crazy Puffs, wings, ready to go.
Okay.
Lions, Packers tonight.
Okay. I gotta start doing stuff like that too and make my Thursday night a little more special. We do end up usually ordering out, and I end up getting like this place that I like, their boneless chicken wings. But yeah, I gotta find maybe something new in the rotation there.
They don't sponsor this show.
No.
So fuck them.
You're right.
Little
You're right.
Caesars is the official pizza sponsor.
I might do
of
it
the NFL
tonight.
And this joint enterprise.
That's where I was getting
Go to Little Caesars.
Because on a Thursday night, and I think tonight, I mean, it's cold up here in the Northeast. They got a few inches of snow at my house right now, but I don't think it's supposed to be horrible tonight. So I think it's going to be, what?
I got a new slogan for Little Caesars.
Right.
Smoky, smoky, pizza, pizza.
Damn, that fits perfect. Right. Yeah, well, smoky, drinky, then pizza. I got to get them all in there, okay? I got to make sure. It'll even be better if they get me to have my 2 drinks, too. And it's a big night. It is. I'm looking forward to it. Mike, this is my first Friday and Saturday Sasquatch, right? I'm all done. No college football. I am so excited to have a full day off tomorrow. Or the fact that I don't have to rush home today and watch college film and catch up with college football. So yeah, it's gonna be extra smoky, drinky tonight with extra munchy pizza. And I might actually have to do the Little Caesars thing tonight. I might have to do it.
I get Sasquatch back on PFT Live 3 days a week. Chris gets his life back, and you'll wonder why I don't like college football. All right.
You're funny.
Let's get to it. Last week, holy cow, is this a typographical error? We both were on fire. But for your misplaced faith in the Tennessee Titans, you would have been 16-0. You flew too close to the sun on wings of pastrami in picking the Titans, or you would have been perfect. I was 14-2, just one behind. You're only 3 behind me, straight up now. Against the spread, though, I was 12-4.
Incredible.
I'm 60% for the year against the spread. And I don't even care. I don't try. I'm not thinking about trying to beat the spread. I'm just trying to get the games right. I'd much rather get the games right than be right on the spread. But I've been lucky. You're 9-7 last week. I'm 12-4. Best bets, I was 0-3. And that last pick 6 by Jameis Winston kept you from going 0-3.
And then he drove down and got them in the 5-yard line and threw the ball there and threw the interception and ended it. Yeah, that was good. That deserved the payback. After your Bears Minnesota Vikings cover a few weeks ago, I deserved one. So the football gods, they helped me out a little bit. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. I do. But yeah.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
The football gods caused God to not deliver Jameis Winston from pick 6s.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Jameis said.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's
all about
just
God,
make this
man.
comment. I understand that most professional athletes have a strong degree of faith and that they use their platform to give glory to God. And I have no problem with that. I have 12 years of Catholic school. I'm a believer. But the idea that God is picking sides in sporting events is ludicrous. And, I mean, God doesn't hate the other team. So I that always drives me nuts because you've got a bunch of believers on both sides of the same question. I don't think God cares. I think God has bigger fish to fry, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I would think so too. I would. But yeah, you said it right. There's a lot of guys in football, strong faith, grew up in that kind of lifestyle, and they believe that God's involved in everything. And I understand that. That's not the way I work. It's obviously not the way you work, but I have family members that are like that, and that's just the way it is. And he's one of those guys. And I think that increases his belief in himself. And I think this is common with a lot of athletes. Like, it's part of the psychosis of, like, I'm not going to win. I worked hard. I'm awesome. I have self-confidence. And I've been talking to God all week. He's going to help me out in this moment. And I think that's where it comes into play a little bit.
But there's this line that gets blurred where it's almost all predetermined.
Yeah,
this is
I
what
know.
God wanted.
Yeah,
So you wasted your time. Guess what? You could have been playing video games and watching movies and relaxing instead of busting your ass watching film because God already figured out you're going to lose. That's where it gets a little twisted. And I think there's a certain arrogance to the human condition that we actually think God has time or desire to give a shit about our trivial pursuits. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm all in with the NFL. I love it. But I think that it's very trivial in comparison to the other stuff going on in the world. We elevate ourselves by thinking God cares enough to somehow direct the outcome. So anyway, that's the end of that rant. And again,
deep
I'm a
thoughts
believer.
by Florio.
I just also believe.
Right.
I also believe God does not care who wins football games.
Right.
And I think pro athletes delude themselves into thinking that for whatever reason.
Hey,
Let's-
that had Florio talking about God for 4 minutes in the opening of the Week 14 podcast, we're going to send you $1,000 we're going to send you an autographed book from Florio. That's what we're going to do.
No.
Say,
I'm done.
No. You're not done. You're volunteering them. God
arthritis.
wants you to do this. Come on now.
I've got Fred Sanford arthritis after. So I still have 140 to sign. 360 done, 140 to sign. The boxes
you'll make
are
it.
dwindling.
You're good.
I will get there.
You will.
I'm signing Chris Simms, by the way, at this point. It's shorter and it's simpler.
It is.
Also, if they get out, they're going to get out at some point. I'd rather them come looking for you. Okay, every week this season, you can play along with us. DraftKings has set up the free $1,000. Easy for him to say. $1,000 Florio and Simms pick and pull. Pick every game against the spread for a chance at a $1,000 prize pool every single week.
Download the DraftKings app, click on the pools tab, and enter the Florio and Simms free $1,000 pick and pools to make your picks.
And just like us, you must enter all your picks before kickoff of the first game of the week. Tonight, it's Thursday night. It's not Thanksgiving. No early game, just night game, obviously. Lions hosting the Packers. Let's get to it. 6 games on a bye week, so we got a little more runway. You know, we're like Congress. You got more money to spend, you end up spending even more than the extra money that you have. So we'll eventually find ourselves in a time crunch, but for now, we can kind of screw around a little bit because there are 3 fewer games than there were last week. The Packers are 3.5-point underdogs with an over-under of 51.5. That's the highest of the week. So the time has come. We talked about this game at length earlier on PFT Live. Give me your winner and give me your score.
It's an incredible game. And like we talked about on PFT Live earlier, it's a Thursday game where both teams have gotten to go a full week of preparation. I think it's going to make it for a better quality football game. As we've discussed many times, and I know this is repetitive to you, but I feel like we got to say it just for the people that don't listen to the pod. These are Eagles, Lions, Packers. They'd probably be the teams that I would say are the 3 most physically talented teams in all of football. That's what I would say. And you've heard me say a million times, the Packers, the fact that they're 9-3 with their quarterback playing B- football and injured for the majority of the year, I think says something about the quality of their football team. Jordan Love looked good last week on Thanksgiving night. The Packers look good. I'm hoping those situations, his health is cleared and he's all good to go and he's turned the corner into good play here. It's an interesting game. It's a coin flip game. It will not be a best bet for me. It's 2 really good offenses. Both can run the football. We know that. I think where I look at it more than anything in this one, since it's so close, it's nitpicking, I'm just going to go with the fact that Detroit, the injuries on the defensive side of the ball against a really good Packers offense, and the fact that the Packers, it's a must-win game for them if they want to win the division and have a chance at the number 1 seed. I think there'll be a hair more desperation on their side, let alone momentum's been on Detroit's side in this matchup as of late anyways. I'm going to go with the Packers pulling off the upset, 30-27 on the road tonight, Mike.
Wow. Gutsy.
Yep.
The Lions still the better team, I think, even with
you're right.
injuries. And they've got the ability to drop the hammer offensively whenever they want to. Incredible array of talent on that side of the ball. I'm going to go the other way on this one. Now, I am giving the Packers the cover. I am giving them the cover. Oh, this will make it more interesting tonight. More reason to to enjoy your smoky, drinky pizza while you're watching the game. You're going to be rooting for the Packers. I'm going to be rooting for the Lions. I've got the Lions 31-28. I just think at the end of the day, the Lions offense will find a way. They'll be buoyed by the home crowd. And even though the Packers, we're desperate to get the 1 seed. Well, everybody wants the 1 seed. At some point, you have to concede the fact that you're not going to get the 1 seed. And I don't think the Packers are going to get the 1 seed, even if they would win tonight. It's an uphill climb to get the 1 seed. So I think the Lions understand the moment, and they understand the threat that the Packers pose to them, and they're not going to get caught napping by the Green Bay Packers. Lions 31-28.
Yeah, listen, I hear you.
On one. Although we do agree on the Packers covering the spread.
Yeah, and I think
because I'm doing well, it's become much more important to me this year.
Yeah, I could tell that. You've laid that out quite nicely, explaining that for sure. It kind of happens every year. Whatever little segment you're involved or winning in, you seem to root and like that one a whole lot more.
That's always the most important one.
Exactly.
Whatever
right.
one I'm the best at.
But here's the thing tonight too. Just that, again, I am really interested in Detroit's D. The injuries, and you heard me say earlier, they've been fortunate to really not play a lot of top-notch offenses in football. This will be their first time. I know they played the Packers before, but Jordan Love wasn't healthy at that time. He was barely practicing during those weeks leading up to that game. I think he's a different guy now, a different offense, and that's where I'm going to be really honed in on Detroit's D tonight and what they look like here going forward and dealing with all this stuff they're dealing with.
All right, let's get to the Sunday early games. The New York Jets head to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Jets, 3-9 overall, also 3-9 against the spread, tied for second worst in the NFL. The Dolphins favored by 6, over-under of 45. Dolphins played last Thursday, so they have a couple of extra days. Not sure that they need it against the Jets, who aren't very good this year. Who do you have?
Yeah, extra days. The Dolphins are better. The Dolphins, I feel like, will be motivated by the way they looked on Thanksgiving night. Also, I think Dolphins still got a chance here. They're still only 2 games out as far as the 7th seed. So it is the time where you go, they got to run the table, most likely. If not, maybe they can lose one, but they'll be hoping for other people to lose if that's the case. But they got to run the table. And then I just feel like with the New York Jets and their football team and everything that, I think last week was, I think it's a blow to the team. Wow, we came back, we played well to start the game. We still find a way to blow it and not, come away with a victory after a bye week where we thought, hey, we'll go on some little run. It's over for the Jets. And I think this is the week the Jets are going to show it a little bit too on the football field. Plus, I just don't think their defense will be able to stop Miami consistently, and I just think Miami's defense will be able to stop Aaron Rodgers in that offense. So I'm going Dolphins here in this one. I got it 27-17 Dolphins.
Yeah, I just think that the Jets are done.
Yeah, they're done.
They're punching the final tickets. They're playing out the string. Jeff Ulbrich is not going to be back next year as the head coach. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be back next year as the quarterback. He's saying all the right things, but I think you're going to see guys making business decisions, guys maybe not playing who, if they were in the playoff hunt, they'd find a way to play. Sauce Gardner, for example, didn't practice yesterday. Breece Hall didn't practice. Some of these guys need to be thinking about the future, their future, because there's going to be a completely different future for the Jets, and I just think the air's out of the balloon. The Dolphins are still alive, and the Dolphins are good against the teams they should beat. They struggle to beat the teams they shouldn't. They should take care of this one, and it could get ugly. I've got the Dolphins 31-20, but it could get a lot worse.
Yeah, I worry about that mental state that you mentioned, the Jets, and they've just gone, all right. After that last week, all the things you said, see you later. We're kind of out of here mentally, and we're just on the field here just, to go through the motions.
All right, next game on the docket Sunday. The Minnesota Vikings hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins, if you haven't heard, going back to Minnesota, place where he was the starter for 6 years. It's his first game back in that building since that awesome Monday night game against the 49ers that finally got me to pull the last pedal on the flower, and it was He loves him. But alas, 6 days later, the Achilles tendon popped, and that was that for Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. They are 10-2. I am 10-2 in Vikings games this year straight up, and 10-2 in Vikings games against the spread, and I don't always pick the Vikings. 5.5-point favorites, 46 over under. Who do you have?
Well, you go
Kirk
first.
Cousins
You
or
know
Kirk
it.
Cousins'
Your
former
favorite
team?
quarterback or your second favorite team? Who do you got here?
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is going to rebound from what we saw the past 3 weeks. 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a blowout loss to the Broncos, a loss to an overmatched Saints team that had lost 7 in a row, and then last week the 4-interception game against the Chargers. I mean, they only lost by 4, even though they had those 4 interceptions, so they were still in the game. They've had issues with their kicker, and I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. I got Vikings 24-21, fueled by a Younghoe Koo miss at some point in the fourth quarter that delivers the victory for the Minnesota Vikings. There would be a certain poetry to the idea of the Falcons going back to Minnesota 26 years after the NFC Championship, where Gary Anderson misses the 39-yarder that would have given the Vikings an insurmountable 10-point lead with not much time left in the game and clinched a spot in the Super Bowl. Younghoe Koo, let's say he misses a 39-yarder, which will force overtime, but it's not to be. Vikings win 24-21.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to get the Falcons and Kirk Cousins' best shot, the way the team's played as of late, losing streak. He hasn't played well, right? He's going to be on his game, going back to Minnesota like you talked about, all those things. I think those are all going to be motivating factors for Kirk Cousins. The rest of the team will feel that as well, let alone they're going to feel like, hey, we got to start getting back on the right track here if we want to win the NFC South and all of that. But I don't think it's going to translate to a win. I don't. I still look at Minnesota as being the better football team. I look at it too, and I worry about Atlanta's defense in this one. That's what I really worry about. I just look at it and go, I think this is a team that Minnesota will be able to run on. I don't think Atlanta can rush the passer very well at all. He'll have Sam Darnold will have all day in the pocket, right? I like some of those secondary pieces in Atlanta, but they don't like to play a ton of man-to-man, and I just think that all that bodes well for Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold on the offensive side of the ball. And even though I think Kirk Cousins will have some success, I just think ultimately they don't have enough big-time playmakers, and it's hard to just drive the field on that Minnesota defense all game long. I don't expect Atlanta to be able to run the ball. It is going to have to be about Kirk Cousins throwing the ball, and I just don't think it'll get it done. I'm going to go Vikings 24-20, almost the same score you had.
Yeah, and we both have the Falcons covering the 5.5-point spread, so we're both threading the needle there, which has worked well for me recently for some reason. Okay, Saints traveling to face the New York Giants. The Saints actually favored by 4.5 points because the Giants have been, this year, caca. There are just 3 road favorites this week. The Giants have had extra time to get ready for this one. They're 3-9 against the spread. That's tied for the second worst in the NFL. Chris, you are 7-5 straight up and 10-2 against the spread with your New York Giants. Will the Giants keep this close? Will the Giants, with Drew Lock starting a second game in a row, will the Giants beat the Saints?
I don't think they're going to beat them. I do think they're going to keep it close. I will say this is a game a little bit where I thought about just pasta and meatballs. The Giants don't have a lot of opportunities to win a game. Could this be one of those games that they show up, the Saints after the loss of last week, right? And you'll lose Taysom Hill and some of that. Will they be down? I thought about it, but the Giants have they don't play good enough football for me to even think, well, maybe this could be it. The offense is so underwhelming, like we saw on Thanksgiving against Dallas or the week before that against Tampa Bay. They still can't pass protect. They don't do that much creative stuff on the offensive side of the ball. They seem to only know how to throw to one guy on the field, and that's Malik Neighbors. They don't know how to get anybody else involved in the offense. So for all of that, and then the Saints, what we've seen of late is defense good every week. Kamara's running the ball, and we see 2 or 3 big plays in the pass game. I think that'll be enough. I think the Giants fight hard and make it a little closer. I'm going to have them, covering the spread, but I'm going to go Saints 20-17.
You should trust your pasta and meatballs because I'm with you. The Giants don't have many more chances to win games. Drew Lock has an opportunity here to audition for someone. And I don't want to take anything away from the Saints, but they've had a rough year. They've had a long year. You're taking them outdoors in December. Taysom Hill is done for the year. He's been one of their more potent weapons under Darren Rizzi. And I know Rizzi's coming back to New Jersey, and there's a little extra kick there.
Right.
It's kind of like the flip side of the Tommy Cutlets phenomenon, and that gave me pause, frankly. But he's not playing. It'd be different if he was playing. And I think that the Saints have lost that mojo that they had when they won 2 in a row. And I feel like the Giants, they understand that this is at some level about pride. And if you have any pride, you're 2-10. This is a game that you should win. I'd feel the same way about the Jets if they were facing the Saints at home this weekend. At some point, you have to access that reservoir of pride and go out there and find a way to win the game. And they gave the Cowboys a good game on Thanksgiving. I think they're going to give the Saints a good game, and I've got them winning 20-17. So that's one that we'll get to enjoy. I'll be rooting for your favorite team, and you will be rooting against it.
Yes, I will. That's right. And the Riz factor, I was part of it that put me over the edge in the game. It was. I mean, coming back to North Jersey, went to Bergen Catholic, a big football powerhouse up in North Jersey. He's going to have people there. The team loves him already. That was enough for me to give him a little bit of a bump, let alone I think they're just playing better football.
So you did at some level go with pasta and meatballs from the guy who would eat pasta and
right now. Yeah, you're right. I almost went pasta and meatballs. Like, is this the Giants? And then I went, oh, okay, wait, let me think about the matchup. Oh, and Riz is coming back. And no, pasta and meatballs, smushed. See you later. Let's go with the Saints.
The only way that it would be any better is if Tommy DeVito, who I think will be active but not starting on Sunday because he's got that right forearm injury, if he ends up in the game. And then you've got the pasta and meatballs counterbalance in New Jersey. And who knows how that would play out. Panthers at the Eagles. Philadelphia favored by 12.5 points with an over-under of 46. Biggest spread of the week. Panthers played well last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, forced them to overtime, had a chance to win. The Chuba Hubbard fumble is what ultimately prevented the Panthers from pulling the upset. Tougher hill to climb this week. The Eagles have won 8 in a row. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. It's a trap game. It's a pothole game, potentially, for the Eagles. Do you see them tripping over themselves? Is this the moment where they lose? I can't imagine you picking them to lose. I think the real question is, do you pick them to win by more than 12.5?
Yeah. And you know, I love the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory.
You got that hoodie. I need to wear it.
I know. I'm not going to wear it. I don't love them that much. But I do love their style of football. You know, I have a man crush on the guys they have on the roster, right? When the Eagles take the field, there's no team in football that looks like the Philadelphia Eagles. They are prototypes across the board everywhere. It's almost a perfect football team. And I don't think they're the type of team that falls asleep. I think they're a team that knows what's at stake. They were in the Super Bowl a few years ago. And also, I think they look at these games as like, hey, this is a statistics game. We're going to go off. Saquon's going to get 200. Jalen's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. A.J. Brown's going to kill it. DeMonte Smith is back. Oh, Carolina, you're screwed. This is a team that just is as good as Carolina's played as of late, and I give them respect. This is another level right here. Yeah, I'm going Eagles 34-13, Mike.
Yeah, I've got Eagles, let me see, 31-13. So it's the same idea. Yeah. Look, the Eagles are chasing the Lions, and if you're right and the Packers win tonight, that's the opening for the Detroit Lions, well, not the Lions, but for the Eagles to catch the Detroit Lions at the top of the conference. So all the more reason.
And I don't know who would get the tiebreaker there. Yeah, I don't know, because they're both, if the Lions lose tonight, they'll both be 6-2 in the conference. Right? And that's the first tiebreaker there because they don't have a head-to-head matchup. So, and they don't really have any common games either. So that'll be the interesting thing there. It might come down to like strength of schedule as far as how it's, dictated who's number one with them both in the same record.
Yeah, they get into strength of victory. There's weird common opponents. Record, I think, is one of the factors.
Right.
It might even be common opponents might even.
I think common opponents might be first, but I don't think they have many. I remember looking at this the other day. So, but either way, we know, and what we're saying, they got a chance to be at the top of the NFC with Detroit if Detroit does get upset and they win their game.
I don't expect the Eagles to lose anyway, but they have all the more reason to win and win big if the Lions should lose tonight. And here it is, just so we can clear this up. Head-to-head is the first tiebreaker for two teams from different divisions. Games within the conference is next. Then it's best won, lost, tied percentage in common games with a minimum of 4. There has to be 4. Then strength of victory. I'd have to look it up to refresh my memory as to what that is. Strength of schedule is after that. And then there's 5 more all the way down to a coin toss. So, I mean, you get into net points in conference game, net points in all games, net touchdowns. It'll never come down to a coin toss. So one of these tiebreakers will kick in. And if they didn't have 4 common games, then we get on to strength of victory. So we'll see how that plays out.
That's what it is.
5 games to go, but that'd be wild. That'd be wild if home field advantage. And the one bye, comes down to like the 4th tiebreaker.
Right.
Okay, next up on the early Sunday docket, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers getting together. They just met 2 weeks ago in Cleveland in that Snow Globe Classic. The Browns won. The Browns out-Steelered the Steelers that night. George Pickens popped off afterward that the Browns still aren't a good team. Surely they will be thinking of that when they come to town. They haven't won in the regular season in Pittsburgh since 2003. They did win a playoff game there a few years ago, but it's been 22 years since the Browns have won in Pittsburgh in the regular season. Steelers favored by 6.5. 82% of the spread money is on the Steelers, and the over-under for this one is 43.5. Who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I expect a close football game once again. I think these two teams are pretty – they match up well against each other. They both have some positives about what the matchup brings. The Pittsburgh Steelers moved the ball and played pretty well the first time around. I wasn't in favor of some of the 4th down decisions Mike Tomlin made in that football game because it was a defensive back-and-forth kind of game. So I didn't think they were necessarily right. And we know that Pittsburgh probably should have won the game if grounding was called at the end of the game, which was kind of a BS thing that the referees messed up because number 68 was eligible and he was somewhere in the stadium close to where the ball landed. So I'm going with Pittsburgh in this one. I think last week was the end of the hope energy for the Browns, right? They still had hope of like, hey, we run the table and we're hot and Jameis Winston, we can maybe make the playoffs. Well, they lost Monday night, and I think that ends all of that. I think that, deflates their balloon to a degree. And then I also think on top of that, the way they play defense is conducive to Russell Wilson and George Pickens and company having success. Cleveland is just so aggressive. Pittsburgh's pass offense continues to get better, expand, be more aggressive off of that. Hey, when they got Pickens, Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, right, Van Jefferson, or Mike Williams, that's not a bad group to go with. Let alone, I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit on Cleveland. Now, I think Cleveland and Jameis Winston will move the ball a little more than we expect on Pittsburgh, too, but I'm still going to take the Steelers here, 28-24.
I've got 27-20 Steelers, so I take the win and the cover for the Steelers. I agree with you. The Browns, look, Jameis Winston has made them interesting. He's made them fun. They're going to come at Pittsburgh with everything they have. They've got the Hard Knocks cameras around, which will add to what otherwise would be a meaningless game for the Cleveland Browns. So I think they'll show up and they'll give the Steelers everything they can handle. It's a great spoiler opportunity as the Steelers try to win the division. But I think at the end of the day, the Steelers get this win, rectify what went wrong a couple of weeks ago. I don't have them covering by much, but I think the Steelers will indeed cover the 6.5-point spread and get another victory as they push for a division title. And who knows, maybe a deep playoff run. Raiders at the Bucs, rematch of Super Bowl 37, the last game the Buccaneers played before they drafted in round 3, Christopher David Simms, just a couple of months after that. 6.5 points is the Buccaneers' bulge in the line to the favorite. Why don't I just start over again?
Right.
Buccaneers are 6.5 points.
Did you say bulge?
Easy. I got
That's
myself.
I
did.
Bulge?
I did.
That was an odd.
Bulging disc.
Okay,
bulging
I guess so.
disc.
I hope it was a
to,
bulging disc. I don't know.
It was a bulging disc. Yes. It's funny. I thought I could save it. Sometimes you think you can save it, and you can. Sometimes you think you can save it, and you just can't. So screw all that. Buccaneers are favored by 6.5.
Well, it brings us to one of our favorite newspaper articles that we've seen over the last month with C.J. C.J. Mosley's neck injury. All right, his neck injury. Remember, we saw it in the newspaper article. Bulging dick in neck of C.J. Mosley will keep him out of the game. That's a serious injury. Serious injury.
That's the homage to Steve Levy, who once said that on the air. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that newspaper article. It was like a front page
typo.
And there it was.
Yes. Yeah. It was amazing. That was really good.
Unfortunate typo.
Actually very fortunate. It made me laugh for a number of days, so I liked it. It brightened my day up. But with this football
I love the fact that we both have the mentality of 8-year-olds. However, you draw the line at poop joke.
Yeah.
If it's a dick joke, it's fine.
That's
if it's a poop joke, you got a problem.
That's right. When it's sexual, I'm okay with that. When you start getting into the potty, I got to draw a line somewhere.
All right.
All right, back on. Well, it's Bucs Raiders talk. This is what they are. They're renegades. It's a pirate. It's a Buccaneer. They pillage. They steal. Okay, that's what they do. They talk about booty and bulging discs and all kinds of crap. But this game, look at it is the Buccaneers. I worry about, I'm shocked they're favored by 6.5. I think that's the part that I'm a little surprised by. Because I do think that the Raiders and Aiden O'Connell will be able to move the ball. And a Buccaneers defense that we see kind of everybody moves the ball on them, except the Giants with Tommy DeVito. So that's where I was shocked. I do think, and I think that Raiders defense, as you've heard me say a million times, I don't think the Buccaneers are just going to steamroll them in that department. I think the Buccaneers win this, but it's that 1 p.m., 11 a.m. time frame for the Raiders that's weird. I'm going to give the Buccaneers the win, but not by 6.5, 24-21 Buccaneers.
I got 30-21. Look, I think that the Raiders are in as much disarray as the Bears are. The only difference is the Raiders didn't fire their coach after a horrible late game management failure by Antonio Pierce. I think he gets fired after the season. I think Mike Vrabel will be the coach of the Raiders next year. But I wonder, behind closed doors, what are the players really thinking?
Well, they're keeping it quiet at least. Right.
Yeah. They are keeping it quiet.
And they are playing hard.
What are they really thinking?
Right.
They are playing hard, but you know what? You had a chance to beat the Chiefs.
I know.
And you blew it because your coach and I'm sorry. And we thought Antonio Pierce deserved a shot. He got a shot, and now we see, okay, they got to hire somebody else. Because that late game scenario was completely and totally botched. And we're so caught up in that last play with, is it a false start, a legal shift, what happened? All Aiden O'Connell had to do was go up to the line of scrimmage, let the clock tick all the way down to 3 or 2 seconds, spike it then, you kick the game-winning field goal, and you go home. And when Antonio Pierce says after the game, well, on that next play, we were just going to waste 4 or 5 seconds and kick the field goal.
That made it worse.
Have to even run that play. That makes it worse.
Yeah, it made it worse. You're right.
You're better off saying we were trying to gain some more yards.
Yeah.
Our kickers missed a couple field goals. We're trying to gain some more yards.
Right.
And he did make it worse. So I think that contributes to, again, behind closed doors.
I hear you. That's what I worry. I hear you.
It's being contemplated.
I went the other way on that, and I don't know if I'm going to be right. We'll see. But either way, you got him covering that 6.5 point bulge.
Brock Bowers is a freaking stud.
Insane.
Some of the catches he made, he's incredible. And yeah, they probably would have liked to have gotten one of the 6 quarterbacks with the 13th overall pick in the draft. It's a pretty good consolation prize.
Definitely.
Because Bowers is the man. He's going to become a superstar in this league. He'd be Offensive Rookie of the Year if the Raiders weren't
win a few more games.
Bad.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah. Agreed in that. And it's because of that. That's ultimately what made me have the Raiders stay close. Is that they find he gets the ball every week. He's become the guy where you go, hey, well, they won't let him go off this week. 10 for 120. 9 for 10, 100. I mean, so I that's what I expect. We saw Bryce Young move that ball in the Bucs last week. I think we'll see it again with the Raiders this week.
Jaguars Titans. Tennessee is favored by 3.5 with an over-under of 39.5, lowest over-under of the week. Tennessee is 2-10 against the spread this season. That's the worst in the NFL. This is a game that not many people care about unless they do have money on it. And if you have money on this game, you really should.
You got a problem.
You really should consider getting help. Who do you have?
I got the Tennessee Titans. Last week was the first time I felt like they didn't come to play the whole year for the most part, right? I really, it was, they laid an egg. You mentioned early in the podcast that I picked them to upset. I thought that would be that upset. I think they bounce back this week, and it always helps when you're playing a team. Yes, that's not that good on offense. They've not been good at all with Mac Jones, and it's the worst defense in football. They're at home. I'm going to go Titans 23-20, late game field goal to win it.
Yeah, I got Titans 17-13. I don't have any rhyme or reason for it. Now, I've got them covering. You have them not covering. But the Jaguars are in disarray. Trevor Lawrence is out for the rest of the year. Mac Jones gets an opportunity to start a few games. Doug Peterson likely done when the year is over. I think at some point, and I can't imagine that the Titans would go one and done with Brian Callahan, but at some point he's got to worry about the possibility of one and done. It's not unprecedented. It happens more often than people realize that a coach gets fired after 1 year. So I think it's all the more important for them to win, to avoid that. And to win a game against one of the worst teams in football is more important. So I think the Titans pulled it off 17-13. And Will Levis has quietly been solid. 2 of the last 3 games, over 122 passer rating. He's earning a shot to be the guy next year as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's enough for the Titans to win.
They're making big plays. He hasn't been doing stupid stuff nearly at the same rate. Even last week when the game got out of hand, there wasn't stupid Will Levis plays. So, and they've been explosive. So we'll see where that goes. And we know the Jaguars, they let every team be explosive on offense.
What was your score again for this one?
Mine was 23-20, I thought. Yes,
23-20. All right.
Yep.
All right, let's take a break. The late Sunday games, including Josh Allen in L.A. and the Seahawks and Cardinals battling for first place in the NFC West. That's next on PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code PFTLive when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours, and please bet responsibly as always with only money you can afford to lose, because if you listen to us, you probably will. All right, this is the Bulging Disc edition of PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned, delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, and we've come up with a new marketing slogan.
Yeah. Smoky, smoky, drinky, drinky, pizza, pizza. I think it works. Little Caesars, hit me up if you want to work on.
They can have that for free.
Yeah.
They can have that for free. And I like that. They probably wouldn't get any trouble. Maybe they would, but we wouldn't, and we think it's funny. Okay, Seahawks at the Cardinals. They just played a couple of weeks ago. Seahawks won 16-6, completely shut down the Cardinals, ended their winning streak, and the Cardinals then lost to the Vikings the following week. Cardinals playing at home, 2.5-point favorites. First place is on the line in the NFC West, 44.5 over/under. Do the Cardinals get back on the right track, and do they end Seattle's 3-game losing streak?
Right, yeah.
Winning streak.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Winning streak.
I hear
Slight
you.
difference.
I hear you. And I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I am. Just because they're home and because they lost a close one to Seattle 2 weeks ago, I'm just going to kind of give them the bump in momentum and everything as far as psychology and everything like that. I don't know if there's anything X's and O's that I look at here. This is a very evenly matched football game. I mean, it's a game where you look back at it and you go, Kyler Murray's 4th and 1 pick 6. If that doesn't happen, it's a field goal type of game, if not, just tied all together. That totally changed the game and the aspect of it all the way. You've heard me say a lot lately, Seattle, their D-line, it's healthy. It's hard to run the ball on them. Arizona, when they can't run, they're not quite as talented or as talented as you want in the pass game to just go, hey, we can let the pass game carry us. There's just not enough weapons there as of yet. So that does scare me. But I do think they'll rebound. I do feel like Seattle, yes, 3-game win streak, but a little fortunate. I don't sit there in any of the 3 games and feel like they just outplayed a team. They just made a play, whether it be, Leonard Williams pick 6 last week or the pick 6 against the Cardinals or the last drive of the game where the 49ers messed some things up before that to let them in the game. I'm going to go Cardinals, and I got them. Did I say the score? 20-17.
Wow. Bingo, bango, ping pong, pow.
Yes.
20-17.
You got it? You have that?
Play it. Bingo, bango.
Yes, I love it. Way to go, Pete. I love it.
20-17.
Way to go, Kristen.
The Cardinals win the game. And I have not a whole lot of faith in this one because maybe the Seahawks finally have gotten their act together. When I talked to Leonard Williams after the game last week, I said something about the playoffs, and he said, it's funny you mentioned that because coming out of the bye, we adopted the mindset that the playoffs start now. We're in the playoffs, and they've won 3 in a row. So I feel bad picking against them, but I feel like the Cardinals are desperate, and the Cardinals, we've seen what they can be. This is their chance. If they blow this one,
they're in
done.
trouble. Right.
They're done.
Right. It's the big part of it, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what they're sitting at 6-6. The Seahawks are 7-5. They go up by 2.5 games if the Seahawks win this because they've won both head-to-head. So it's basically 3 games, and you would think that they're not going to win the NFC West with that formula.
You got to make up 3 games before to play.
Right.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yep.
All right. Bills at the Rams. Buffalo favored by 3.5 points. According to DraftKings, 93% of the spread money is on the Buffalo Bills. Are you on the Buffalo Bills?
I'm on the Buffalo Bills, 100%. I think this is going to be an awesome game. I do. Because, as you know, and I've stated this a lot, I think the Eagles and the Lions are the 2 best teams in football and a little bit of a tier by themselves. I think third is Buffalo, and they're not too far from that tier, right? I guess there's just a little more I'd like to see. But this is a matchup where I look at and go, no, I think this is a team in the Rams that can pose some problems for the Buffalo Bills. I think there'll be a lot of points on the board in this one. I do. One, because Buffalo, as you always hear me say, Los Angeles, the Rams, if you play zone on them, they will pick you apart. There's no question about that. They will figure it out and just absolutely dissect you. And they're hard to play man-to-man against as well. They got it all. As we talked about last week and on Monday, it's only a matter of time before they figure out, they're playing like this. Now we got to start dialing up these group of plays like they did last week. 0 points at the half, 21 points in the second half against the Saints. They will figure it out. And so I think they will move the ball on the Bills. Plus, the Rams can run the ball. Kyron Williams is awesome. But the other aspect is that I just don't see the Rams defense ever stopping the Bills either. The Bills are going to be able to run on the Rams, a smaller defensive front. They're going to be able to push them around. The Rams are going to have to blitz to get pressure on Josh Allen. You can't just rush forward against Buffalo. They're so good up front, he'll have all day. So that puts them in a bind. I'm going 31-27 Rams. I think this is one of the fun games of the weekend. Bills, excuse me. Bills, excuse me.
I got excited.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yep.
Yeah. But you do have you have the Bills covering.
Just covering, yeah.
Half point spread.
Sorry about that.
31-27
Bills.
Now than I was earlier when I was trying to figure out how old you were in 1988. Okay. I've got the Bills 30-24. I was thinking we were going to do another bingo bongo. I just had a gut feeling that maybe we would, but we both are on the same page here. The Bills have the opportunity to track down the Chiefs. But the difference is they won't know that the Chiefs have won or lost because that's the Sunday night game on NBC. But Bills put their best foot forward and hope that maybe the Chargers can win the game. The Bills want that 1 seed. The Rams, spirit is willing, flesh is weak. Matthew Stafford a little banged up. He fully participated in practice on Wednesday, but that guy is one of the toughest players to ever play football at any time in the last 105 years. He fights through anything and everything, but I just feel like the Rams are kind of at the point where it's going to not work out for them, and that's good news for the Lions, who wouldn't have to face Matthew Stafford in the postseason. So 30-24 Bills win and maybe get closer to the number 1 seed in the AFC. Bears and 49ers, they get together at Levi's Stadium. 88% of the spread money is on the Chicago Bears. The 49ers are favored by 4. The over-under is 44. What does having a new coach, interim coach, Thomas Brown, mean? Is it enough for the Bears to beat the 49ers, who are struggling at 5-7?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to hear 88% of the money's on the Bears. That is. I mean, usually you see dysfunction and things like that make it go the other way, but we have seen here in the last few years new coach uplifts scenario a lot. Right? Whether that's Antonio Pierce or Jeff Saturday the year before that, Riz this year. We've had it all as far as, that new energy in the building. Oh, we got rid of that guy that we were all kind of sick of anyways. Hey, it's fun to be at work now. It's just a little different. Is that a thing? Or is it the opposite? Where they're just like, damn, we blew another game in Detroit. Damn, it's interim coach. We're a disaster and we're fall apart. I worry about kind of the same thing with the 49ers. The 49ers, no McCaffrey, no Jordan Mason. We get our ass whipped for the second week in a row on the road. Like, are they going to be like, that's it. It's just ain't our year. It's over. I don't think so. I'm going to trust the culture of the 49ers and Shanahan and what they got there and some of those leaders, that they bounce back and they just got a little more toughness and creativity about them than the Chicago Bears. I have the 49ers winning 21-17, so that's right on the spread. I'll make it 22-17, 49ers. I'll have them covering the spread, and I think they bounce back against the Chicago Bears.
Even though the Bears have lost 6 in a row, the last 3 have entailed the Bears covering the spread. So the spread money on a team that is losing but covering. 20-19, lost to the Packers, covered. 30-27, lost to the Vikings, covered. 23-20, lost to the Lions, covered. I've got the same thing. 24-23. 49ers win, Bears cover. And I mentioned that Packers game is the first one because that's the game Thomas Brown became the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And things started to change.
Right.
Now he's the interim head coach. And, somebody pointed out to me, and it's just kind of the way it works. Offensive coordinator gets promoted to interim head coach because the argument is, why not make someone else the interim head coach so the offensive coordinator can focus on the offense and not get diluted? They're trying to make the offense better. Why not bring in someone like, when the Colts brought in Jeff Saturday, or use the assistant head coach if they have one, special teams coordinator, something like that, because it is going to be harder for Thomas Brown to run the offense now that he's running the team, but I still think they'll do enough against a 49ers team that does seem to be going the wrong way. They'll stop the slide, at least for now, and get to 6-7, 24-23, no cover, but a win for the San Francisco 49ers. All right, let's get to prime time, including Jim Harbaugh getting another shot at the Kansas City Chiefs, plus the Monday night game that looked pretty good when the schedule came out, and now smoky, drinky, pizza to get you through Monday night. We'll get to those next here on PFTPM.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bets win. Don't download the app. Use promo code UNBUTTONED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
I would say kid can't even read, but we established that 7 years ago.
Yes.
All right. Let's get to Sunday night. Kid can't even scroll. Here we are. I'm in the right section. Now, we almost did the late afternoon games again.
Now be
maybe
a host.
The outcomes would have been different.
Now be a host.
Maybe if we'd done the late afternoon games again, we'd pick different winners. Who knows? All right. The Chargers at the Chiefs, Sunday Night Football.
Hey, you got to be a post. You got to look at what's underneath my read, and now look what's underneath that. What does that say?
Look what's underneath here.
Is it this right there? Hey, I found it. There it is. Boom.
All right. Chiefs favored by 4 points. Chargers, they lost 17-10 back in week 4. The over-under is 43. We earlier went into this thing about whether they'll score less than 38 combined or more than 48. I have a feeling this will be a lower scoring game. Chris, what do you got?
Yeah, I do. I was referring to that you had another Little Caesars read before this segment was supposed to start.
Oh,
but it's all right. Smoky, drinky, pizza.
We've more than delivered. We've more than delivered for Little Caesars.
That's another slogan for them. We've more than delivered for you. Pizza. Okay. Right. Chargers, Chiefs, I'm with you. Low-scoring football game. I mean, I don't see this as being – I'm going to say it's a little higher scoring than the first meeting, but I certainly don't see huge plays across the board everywhere. Now, the Chargers, you've heard me say, they're one of the best zone teams in football. They can pass people off, and no matter how your route combinations are, they're really good at it. The Chiefs are also really good at attacking those type of defenses. This guy goes that way, this guy goes that way. Hey, you sit in the middle of them, and now we've spread that zone out. So that's where they have some tactical advantages in this and knowing how to play against those style of defenses. But even within that, I mean, again, it's the Chiefs. Their offense is not capable of scoring 30, 34 points. I don't think, really, against better defenses in football. I don't see it that way. The other aspect of this, and I've been trying to say this, and I continue to say this on my pod, this Chiefs defense is not nearly as good as last year. You've heard me talk about L'Jarius Sneed not being there. That's a big thing. The other guys and some of the young players they have in the secondary, they're messing up on a week-to-week basis, let alone, of course, they're not as talented as L'Jarius Sneed. The front seven is not playing the same in Kansas City. It's not nearly as dominant. It doesn't force nearly as many negative plays. Last year, they were second in football in sacks. This year, they're like the fifth or sixth worst in sacks. Nobody really pops up front when you watch the Chiefs. Chris Jones does from time to time. After that, you don't see a lot that jumps out to you. I'm taking the Chargers. I think the time has come here. The Chiefs, this will finally end of like, we've gotten outplayed by another team 5 weeks in a row, but we won the game. This will be the game where you get outplayed and this team won't mess it up and they will win it. I'm going Chargers on the road 24-20.
Wow. Interesting. I'm thinking about the competition on Football Night in America because you and I are tied behind Jason Garrett, just one game back. I hope he takes the Chargers as well because if he does and the Chiefs win, we'll have a three-way tie atop the standing because I still believe in the Chiefs. 17-16. If this one was in L.A., it'd be different. It's in Kansas City. The Chargers will give them everything they can handle. It'll be Ohio State, Michigan vibes from Jim Harbaugh. He understands the stakes here. The Chargers do. But the concern I have, they just don't have enough horses on offense.
I hear
Justin Herbert.
I hear you.
And even though the Chiefs' defense isn't what it was earlier in the year,
yeah, can they take advantage of it?
They're not facing a high-end offense.
Right.
And I think this is just another one of those where when we look at the final stats, it's going to be like, oh, man, well, Travis, did Travis even play? And Patrick, is this one half? Is this one half? Is this one quarter? Oh, that's the whole game? But they're still going to have, in the category that matters, more points than the other team, 17-16.
Yeah, I listen, I certainly don't think what you're saying isn't possible or it couldn't happen. I certainly could see it going that way. It'll be interesting. And to your point on what you're saying is, yeah, the Chargers need more. They need something else. It seems like it's always just one guy. It's either, wait, the running back had the big day, or, oh, this one receiver had the big day. Like last week, it was just Ladd McConkey, right? We had a few games of where I thought we saw enough from Quentin Johnson to go, okay, I think he's turned the corner, right? But, I mean, the last few weeks, we haven't seen him. He's had the drop issues. Palmer's kind of disappeared from the game plan. So they definitely got to find something or somebody else to infuse in their normal, everyday attack. And I do think the Chiefs will present some of those plays for them. Because of how aggressive they are, they're very concerned about their front seven. And because of that, they're having to load the line of scrimmage with people to stop the run, to get after the passer. And that could be the thing of gets the Chargers going. We'll see. Listen, I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm right. Your things you said are very true, too. I'm really pumped for this one. I'm going to play the Jim Harbaugh poker up your ass. Let's fucking go. We're sick of the Chiefs. Let's win this one this time. I'm going to go with that kind of energy there.
If the Chargers pull this off, either way, it's going to be a great rivalry as long as Harbaugh is with the Chargers and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. But if the Chargers pull this off, then the 2 games next year.
Or the playoffs this year.
Yeah. But that's old school Giants, Cowboys.
Yeah, right.
Like the networks boxing out to try to get the games. Those 2 games next year will be in high demand. Okay. Bengals at the Cowboys. Speaking of the Cowboys, the Bengals are favored by 5.5, even though the Bengals have not been very good. The Cowboys finally winning a home game this year against the overmatched Giants, over-under of 49.5. It's the Monday night game, so we'll watch it because it's on TV. Who will win it?
The Bengals. But I don't think it'll be like just a runaway. We've seen Cooper Rush has settled in. I mean, he's functioning. He hits open receivers. Dallas has shown the ability to run the ball here the last few weeks. Cincinnati's defense is sucky-ducky, as we know. So because of that, yeah, I think Dallas will hang around. I just, Dallas defense has been better too. I just feel like Cincinnati's offense is about as special as it gets. I mean, come on. They're setting records for scoring points and still losing a game. That just says it. I mean, the offense does everything. What is it? Like they've had 9 games of over 30 points this year, and they've won like one of them or something like that. It's pretty incredible. But I think this will be one of the ones they do win. I think Dallas is compromised in this one. Like whether they want to play zones and Mike Zimmer's cover 4, that's going to lead big plays to the Bengals. You want to cover and play man-to-man with Diggs and Deron Bland, guess what? That's going to lead to big plays by the Bengals. So I'm going to take the Bengals. I think it's one of those that's like 23-20 late, and the Bengals go down and score a touchdown to put it away with about 5 minutes left and win 30-20, Mike.
We almost had a bingo bongo. I've got 30-23. Now, the Bengals played there 2 years ago, but it was early in the
second
season.
game of the year.
We know what happens to the Bengals early in the season. The Cowboys won that game 20-17. There's something special about going to Dallas and playing. It's Monday Night Football. Even if the Bengals don't make it to the playoffs, it's an opportunity for them to come out and light it up a little bit. And I think they've got the firepower to do it. They've got the will to do it. 30-23, they get the win, and that's the final game of the week. We're going to take a break. When we return, our best bets, or in my case, our worst bets, and our Folsom Prison, or in Chris's case, Folsom County Blues picks. That's next here on PFTPM and Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It is the Chris Simms Unbuttoned PFTPM Joint Mega Picks podcast delivered by Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the National Football League.
Oh, pizza.
I thought you were going to do smoky, drinky.
I should have. Sorry, I caught me off guard there. I was sitting there just going, wait, am I good with my best bets? I just wanted to make sure things were good there. So, yeah, I just was double checking. My bad. Smoky, drinky, pizza.
All right, it's best bets time. Give me your first one.
Dolphins. It's vacation time of the Jets. They'll be drinking pina coladas on Saturday afternoon. The Dolphins still have a chance to make the playoffs. It's over for the Jets. Dolphins win this football game. I think I had them winning by 10. I thought about more. Yeah, Dolphins first best bet.
For me this week, I'm going to go all dogs that I picked to lose straight up. But I'm going to start with the Falcons getting 5.5 at Minnesota. I think Minnesota wins. I think the Falcons cover and possibly win.
Wow. Okay, I like it. Interesting. I'm going Eagles with my next one. I'm the Eagles. I just think it's another class. Carolina good, but last week hurts. Eagles going to be number 1 seed motivation. They kicked the crap out of Carolina.
Bears getting 4. Pick the 49ers to win. I think the Bears 4 points is too big.
Woo! You're going to have a fun week there. All right, and last one, I'm going with the Chargers. 4 points is too many. I got them winning the football game. I'm going with a team what I know what I'm going to get from them. I know what I'm going to get from the Chargers. I know what I'm going to get from the Chiefs. It's a close football game, and even if they win, they won't win by more than 4.
Continuing my theme for the week because nothing else is working. Chargers as well. I picked the Chiefs to win by a point. Chargers cover 4 points.
Damn.
Too much. All right.
I like that
Folsom
pick
Prison
until
Blues.
You picked him.
You're dying in a gutter. Who's the one team that wins straight up?
The
Are we
Eagles.
back to anyone
Of course,
who plays the Panthers?
I'm going the Eagles. I mean, it's not Carolina's not.
It's more about the Eagles.
Exactly
than the
right.
Panthers.
That's right.
Eagles.
All right, enjoy your
Smoky,
Little
smoky,
Caesars tonight.
Drinky, pizza.
Pizza. See
you next
ya.
time.
Peace out. Yo, homies, thanks for watching. Yeah, it's time. The NFL season is here on Chris Simms Unbuttoned.
You can hit subscribe to get all the weekly picks, plus our Sunday recaps as the games are happening.
Oh, you know it. Nobody does that better than us. Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you next time on Unbuttoned.